All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Stand Tall. It is August 21st, and we are wrapping up essentially chapter 10 in the Art of War, which is about terrain, with verses 30 and 31. Hence, the experienced soldier, once in motion, is never bewildered. Once he has broken camp, he is never at a loss. 31. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory will not stand in doubt. If you know heaven and you know earth, you may make your victory complete. Next, we go into the 9 situations. Coming into September, let's take a quick peek while we're at it. So, as I can see, just real quick, the 9 situations has over 58, 65, 68. 68. So, September and October might be the 9 situations totally and wholly until we get to attack by fire and the use of spies. So, we're going to see how all of that goes. But real quick, let's jump over to the alternate translation before we jump into the Daily Stoic. So let's see what Master Sun has to say. I've already taken a peek, and I know that 30 and 31 are mixed together here. So they do this, like the last one, like all of those were truncated into this little paragraph. I think 3 and now 2 are truncated down, and you can always tell. But Master Sun says, therefore, those who know martial arts do not wonder when they move and do not become exhausted when they rise up. So it is said that when you know yourself and others, victory is not in danger. When you know sky and earth, victory is inexhaustible. Dumu says, when victory and defeat are already determined before movement and uprising, you do not become confused in your actions and you do not wear yourself out rising up. So it's like once you've planned, once you've strategized, and once you've made the decision, then victory is inexhaustible, right? Like you're gonna win because everything's kind of in place. I mean, even though he reminds us that not always that, always be adaptable, but that's essentially what it's saying is like if you know yourself, you're ready. Anyway, so Mei Yao Chen says, when you know what is to others' advantage and what is to your advantage, you are not in danger. When you know the season and the train, you do not come to an impasse. So Mei Yao Chen kind of uses a little bit more metaphors as far as like seasons and terrain. Since we are in the chapter of terrain, heaven and earth, when you know the sky and the earth. So here he says, sky and earth. And this one he says heaven and earth. And so I kind of like Mei Yao Chen's interpretation of it. It's not like heaven as some place. It's like the skies, so the seasons. If you know the terrain, the season, yourself, your enemy, then you know how to adapt to any situation. Okay, let's go over to the Daily Stoic by Brian Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. These guys are awesome. So give this book a purchase. Keep it in the bathroom for when you do. Keep it by your bedside stand for when you can't sleep at night. Keep it in front of your computer so you can do reflections on it for YouTube and to avoid that nobody listens to for you. August 21st. Don't be miserable in advance. This is a good one because I do this to myself. It's ruinous for the soul to be anxious about the future and miserable in advance of misery, engulfed by anxiety that the things it desires might remain its own until the very end. For such a soul will never be at rest. By longing for things to come, it will lose the ability to enjoy present things. Seneca, Moral Letters, 98.5b through 6a. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I'm trying to just briefly reread it, but it's a big thing right now. It's 2023, August 21st. The big COVID happened, and for someone like me who kind of like followed conspiracy theories because they were fun and it was entertaining and it was a way to just kind of like be entertained in the evening after work through like Reddit and things like that. And then it turns into this whole like new world order, own nothing, be happy kind of, anxiety that I have for like my future and my children's future of like what's that world going to look like. And the thing is like, don't like be miserable about that future, because number one, it hasn't happened yet. I think that there's plenty of people who don't want that to happen, and I think the people are stronger than they let on. But I think that it's just one of those things about, the whole thing of being a Stoic is to approach the day and to conquer the day and to conquer the obstacle in front of you. And so if you're worried about things that may not come to pass because actively you're in the day, in the moment, and hopefully you're making the right decisions that prevent that from happening. So although at the same time, there is so much that is outside of our control. And I think that that's where it kind of like, I think that's where it always kind of gets confusing about what we know that we need to control within ourselves versus like what's outside of us. So let's see what the men say, Brian and Stephen, about this. The way we nervously worry about some looming bad news is strange if you think about it. By definition, the waiting means it hasn't happened yet. So that feeling bad in advance is totally voluntary. But that's what we do. Chewing our nails, feeling sick to our stomach, rudely brushing aside the people around us. Why? Because something bad might occur soon. The pragmatist, which this month is about pragmatism, the person of action, is too busy to waste time on such silliness. The pragmatist can't worry about every possible outcome in advance. Think about it. Best case scenario, if the news turns out to be better than expected, all this time we wasted was needless fear. Worst case scenario, we were miserable for extra time by choice. And what better use could you make of that time? A day that could be your last, you want to spend it in worry? And what other area could you make some progress while others might be sitting on the edges of their seat, passively waiting for some fate to occur to them? Let the news come when it does. Be too busy working to care. Yeah, never give up, be too busy working to care. Like, don't do everything you can. That's why we built a chicken coop. That's why we farm. That's why we have stockpiles of food and water. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why we invest. That's why we prepare for a good future, but plan in case it's not there. So we do both. We pad up our retirement funds and our investment accounts because that's the game and it's available to play. So we play it. It's a very strategized game, very, very easily followable in a way, I guess is the term, to make money. It's not hard to make money in the stock market, but if you're not participating, then you're kind of SOL. It's kind of like credit cards in the sense of, since they charge fees to the people who take them, it's a convenience fee essentially for the grocery store or the gas station or wherever you're swiping that credit card. Or me, like when someone pays for my services with a credit card, I pay a fee. And so the thing is like credit cards are nice and credit is great and they do give you rewards, but this fee that they charge to the retailers gets then passed along to the consumers. And so the consumers who are using cash are always falling behind and always having to play catch up. And so it's kind of like this system that eats itself. And the more you understand the system, the more you realize you have to be involved or get left behind. Or you could be like me, you could take advantage of the system while it's there in order to actively find a way to pivot successfully once the system isn't there, in case that happens, because it does seem like there's a lot going on in that regard in today's day and age. So, that's why we want to read all of this stuff and we want to tie it together and we want to talk about not worrying about the future. Similar to the same way with the terrain, it's like, you have to know yourself here and now. You have to know the enemy's position here and now. Are they open to attack now? Not really if they're going to be open to attack in the future, or if they, aren't open and they are open, or they are open and then they won't be open. You like what if they're open to attack now and at some point in the future they never will be again? So now might be your only time to strike. And just taking that whole thing of like, if you're so caught up in worrying about what the opposing enemy might do, then you might miss that opening in the right time. And so I think that's kind of like the whole idea behind this is that, you need to know yourself and you need to know the enemy, and it's time to rise up when it's time to rise up and take advantage of that. So keep standing tall, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you. And please smash that like button and that subscribe button down there at the bottom. and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.